How many times have you guys locked yourself out of your house before? I know I've done it once. It's not a fun experience. So my narrative speech is about the embarrassing but funny time that I locked myself out of my house. So I was living in a townhome at the time. I had just gotten off work. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like 93 degrees out, super humid. Very uncomfortable, especially to realize that the only person that has another key to my house, besides my landlord, is an hour and a half away at this point in time. So at that point, I just started looking around, like, what is out here that I can possibly get into my house? So I had looked up and I realized that the window that I had cracked open the night before was still open, slightly. So then I started looking around to see how I could get on top of the roof to get onto the second story of the townhome to get to the window. And I had a weight bench outside, so I saw that, and then I had a trash can and recycling bin and a glass patio table. So me, with my hard-headed wisdom, decided that I was going to stack it up, jump onto the roof, and open the window. Seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. Probably not. So I basically just took the workbench, and then I put the garbage can right next to the workbench, and I put the recycling bin on top of that, and that was high enough to where if I went from the from the trash bin to the recycling bin and then jumped onto the roof, it would be perfectly fine. I should get there just fine, no problem. My only issue is I had to figure out how I was going to get the recycling bin to balance perfectly on the workbench so that I could get up onto the roof. So it took me a few minutes, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, and I realized if I just kind of prop it back against the garbage can, it should be fine. So I'm just going to hop from the garbage can to the recycling bin to the roof. So I started to climb up onto the garbage can, jumped onto the recycling bin, and jumped onto the roof, which was fine and dandy, not a big deal. So I went to the window and I started to open it, and all of a sudden I heard someone say, "Hey, what are you doing up there?" So I turned around and there was my landlord. So apparently, as I was stacking up everything to get onto the roof, and as I was getting onto the roof, people drove by and they saw that it looked like someone was trying to break into this townhouse. So my landlord got called, and she came down and she was like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, I had locked my keys." She said, "You know that you could have called me." And I was like, "Oh, but that would have been too simple." And then she started laughing, and in all reality, it wasn't a smart idea. I should have not been hard-headed and just called my landlord so that I could get it. So that's my funny story.